All right, welcome back, True Seeker. For those of you guys who are confused, this is not the Patreon stream. This is a free stream for the public. Again, those of you guys who aren't signed up for the Patreon page, well, again, you're missing out on the value deal of a lifetime because what we do day after day, is destroy the world of rig sports because we understand how they're scripted and what the code is, and that's why we had the Suns in the Western Conference Finals before the season began. And I did talk about the possibility of them maybe making it into the finals. I thought it was going to be the Lakers. I thought the Western Conference Finals would be Lakers and Suns this year, all about 56. Said it was the other LA team in the Suns. But again, I almost wish that I didn't have my theory that I came out with in 2018, which was a good theory, and it was mostly correct. I mean, people won a ton of money off it. We had the Lakers winning their 17th championship in LeBron's 17th season, and then him going on to three-peat. He won't three-peat, but he can still get the rest of that. But, had I not had that picture in mind, with all the more recent research and what I wrote my recent book about, number games 9/11 to coronavirus, and just, the agendas that are in place from Agenda 21 to 2030, it actually makes a ton of sense right now that the Suns are in the finals. And the LeBron script made a ton of sense, but maybe this really was the one that they had all along here, the Suns. And let's get to why and who's behind this rigged ritual. And for any dummy here who doesn't think sports is rigged, just leave, because I don't mean to cast pearls before swine, and the only people who don't think sports are rigged are swine. Now, with that said, the Suns are in their first finals since '93, and of course, it's always been rigged. It was rigged back then. I was a little kid back then. I could see it was all rigged for Jordan. Everything was scripted around Jordan. The sun, they say in science, is 93 million miles away. It's why we love the Nuggets to get swept by the Suns in these playoffs. The Suns became 9-3 against the Nuggets. Nuggets means gold. Gold represents the sun in alchemy. They've done so many 93 rituals in these NBA playoffs. And so anyway, the Suns back in the finals for the first time since '93. First time in the playoffs in 11 years. If you look up the Suns' 11-year cycle, it switches its magnetic pull every 11 years per science. But look at this. What I talked about before the Suns closed out the Clippers is how if they won, they would be 145 and 145 in the playoffs all time, and that seems super symbolic because we know who runs the show. It's the Catholic Church that worships on Sunday. And again, the Suns are now 145 and 145 in the playoffs all time. This is going into the NBA Finals. And if you want to look up this stuff, just use statmuse.com. What is the Suns' all-time playoff record? Here it is. 145 and 145, okay? So remember, this is important beyond just gematria. In the Catholic Bible, the Old Testament has 145 more chapters in it than the Protestant Old Testament. 145 more. That's why the Catholic Church created the land of the false Jews, Zionist Israel, on May 14th, 14/5, and it's why they employ these same false Jews to look like they run the league. David Stern was killed by the numbers in a Jesuit ritual January 1st, 2020. Adam Silver, I'm not even sure he's from planet Earth, but regardless of that fact, he's a Jesuit puppet. The Jesuits control these false Jews, and the reason why is because they're fulfilling biblical prophecy. The end of the Bible says the false Jews have to be in power in the end times. And it's clear that they're making it seem like we live in the end times. That's why you have so many believers that think these are the end times because they're seeing all the signs but not realizing that it's all being contrived by man. And possibly man that's under the influence of spiritual entities. I mean, it's a bigger conversation, but again, at the end of the day, it is man manipulating this crap. And it is done by a code, and you need to learn gematria to understand it. But again, with regards to being 145 and 145 as they advance to the finals, this is the 75th NBA season, and Catholic Church equals 75. And just to go back in time, in case you guys forget this one, 75, New World Order, New York Times. You guys haven't seen me talk about this before. We got to bring it up again. The Here, let's try to get a different way. October 6, 1940. Let's do it this way. The New York Times, October 6, 1940. And understand, the New York Times... Why am I having so much trouble pulling up this story? Come on, man. Should have had it up already. But the New York Times is controlled by the Jesuits. Here's the article I want. October 6, 1940, New World Order pledged to Jews. So this is the Jesuit Catholic-controlled New York Times, which has always been the case. You look at the history of the New York Times, there's always been a Jesuit in control of the paper. Right now it is ran by a Jesuit-educated man, just as it has always been. If you write out New York Times, it has the same gematria as the Jesuit order and propaganda. But October 6, 1940, New World Order pledged to Jews. And why that date? Because it had 75 numerology. New World Order is 75, Order Out of Chaos is 75, Order is 75, Catholic Church is 75. Now remember, how did Kobe die last year? Kobe. How did he die? Kobe equals 75. He died while traveling from Catholic Church, right? That was the story. Him and his daughter were going to a basketball game. They'd just gone to Catholic Church. So, remember the day that Kobe died, the big NBA story later that day was Devin Booker and Trae Young combined for 81 points, each taking 24 shots. And if Atlanta sneaks into the playoffs and faces the Suns, that's clearly what it's about. It's about the Kobe Bryant tribute. I'm torn on if that's going to happen because Bucks equals 56. Before this season began, our backup team for Brooklyn in the East was the Bucks. Just like last year, I thought the Bucks would make it to the finals and face the Lakers last year. Instead, they played the Miami Heat. And the reason why is it's been about 56 this whole time. Bucks is 56, Miami Heat's 56. In the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, Phoenix Suns is 56. And of course, this year they got Chris Paul, born on 5/6, going to his first finals, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But again, gematria, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with the rules of numerology. 2 straight years we're dominating the NBA with the futures. And again, be mad all you want that the Lakers didn't win the championship this year, but hey, man, we had the Suns in the Western Conference Finals, and any smart man would have put a bet on them and hedged with them because they had the most pure 56 connection. When Paul Westphal died at the beginning of the year, I was like, man, that's interesting. That's interesting, Paul Westphal. He died by the code, by the numbers. Big Suns star. And here they are. They're in the finals. But realize, the Suns getting to 145 and 145 to enter the playoffs in their 75th NBA season. If you think about it, the only way all this is possible is if their entire franchise history is scripted. And it is, you guys. The entire world of sports is scripted. Now, I think with these playoff games, they might have it scripted for a team to take game one. Maybe too much money goes one way. So then the other team wins, and then they just flip the planned scenario for game 2 or game 3. Again, that's the funny thing about series. The NBA playoffs is very difficult, but the futures still, again, the teams that we had money on before the season were Lakers, Nets, Suns, Bucks. I didn't see the Hawks, man. I didn't see the Hawks coming. But with regards to the Hawks, I'm not shocked because I have been ranting for years about Trae Young, who is the most forced superstar in the entire world of sports in the entire history of the world. Trae Young is a nobody, garbage basketball player with a push shot, the ugliest fucking thing there ever was, who would have no balls go in if they weren't using technology to ensure outcomes. But anyway, 145 and 145 to enter the finals in the 75th season. Remember, Catholics also 35 like Suns. And something I talked about was them getting to 145 and 145 late Wednesday night when it's already Thursday at the Vatican where all this shit comes out of. Plus how that would be the story on Thursday. The Suns back in the finals since 93. 28 years ago, the 7th triangular number. Remember, Saturn equals 93. Saturn's got 7 rings. We've seen a lot of 28 and 7 this year. Nick Saban got his 7th championship, winning by 28 points. The Bucks picked up the 28th Super Bowl for the NFC. Brady won his 7th ring. Baylor got their 28th win, winning the college championship this year. There were 7 teams in the tournament from Texas, a record, so on and so forth. But the Suns, in the totally scripted ritual, and realize Thursday what time it was in the Vatican when the Suns made it to the finals? It was July 1st, 7-1. Catholic is 71. It was a Thursday. You see how Catholic's 35 and 46? Well, here, I'll just show you through this model right here. At the beginning of the week, we picked the Rockies. We said the Rockies are the biggest moneymaker this week. They'll win all 3 of their games against the Pirates, and then they'll pick up their 35th win on Thursday over the Cardinals. Boom, boom, boom. Exactly what they did. And you see how easy it is when you know Gematria? When the Rockies swept the Pirates, they became 34 and 47 for the season. You see that? Pirates equals 34-47. Rockies sweep them, become 34 and 47, and that set up the 35th win for Thursday. And think about how many rituals they do with the Cardinals and the Catholic Church, from the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball to the Arizona Cardinals in football. Remember last year what they did with the Arizona Cardinals? The singular Cardinals 35. If you forgot, I put it out for free before the game was played. I said the Cardinals look like big money to upset the Seahawks because that day they bumped Tom Brady from Sunday Night Football. They took Tom Brady out of Sunday Night Football and they moved in the Cardinals-Seahawks game. And on that day, Pope Francis appointed the first black cardinal in the history of the Catholic Church. And where was he from? From Chicago. Just like how the Arizona Cardinals are originally from Chicago. For people who don't know, the Bears and the Cardinals are the 2 oldest teams in the NFL, both from Chicago, where the NFL was founded. And Chicago's a big Catholic city. You see how Catholics 35 and 46? So is Chicago. Chicago that won their first and only Super Bowl with 46 points with the revolutionary 4-6 defense. Again, sports are nothing but scripted shit. By the way, yesterday the Twins picked up their 46th loss against Chicago on a Thursday. Thursday 35-46, Chicago 35-46. Free money. Last Thursday, the Pirates picked up their 46th loss against Chicago. Same stuff week after week. But look at this. On July 1st, 7-1, the Suns advanced to the finals. Even if you're going by Universal Standard Time, that's what day it was. 7-1, right? So on 7-1 world time, the Suns become 145 and 145 on a Thursday and advance to the NBA Finals in the 75th season. And by the way, throughout these playoffs, we documented so many things that they did with the Suns and the Catholic Church and Pope Francis. See how Phoenix, Arizona has the 175 in it? Pope Francis has 175. It was already too many weeks ago, but there was a big 175 ritual at the Suns. It's just, Phoenix, Arizona's also got the 85 in it and the 68, just like basketball. Isus Hominum Salvator, the Jesuit motto, 85. Catholicism, 68, like basketball, like mathematics, like the Club of Rome established in 68. But again, this is a perfect Catholic ritual, and what are we here telling you for all this time? Sports are rigged. They're rigged by this code. They're controlled by the Jesuits. I've been saying that the world of sports is controlled by the Jesuits nonstop since 2016, and proving that point day after day after day after day after day. Now here, let's get into another point about this. Phoenix, oh, by the way, Phoenix fits in with the whole Catholic thing because Phoenix is also 46. So we got Suns 35, Phoenix 46, Catholic 35, 46, 145 and 145 on 7-1. Don't forget JFK, the first Catholic president, number 35, killed at age 46. Don't forget Joe Biden. By the way, we said Joe Biden would be the president all year last year. We said he'd become number 46, the second Catholic in the election exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, and Inauguration Day was on the 35th day of the Pope's age. Perfect ritual. But notice how Arizona is 42, like Jesuit, and Phoenix Suns, again, 56 like Society of Jesus. The Suns have the truest connection to 56 out of the 30 teams in the NBA. They're the only team in the Western Conference with the 56 connection, and it's their full name and the most pure cipher. The Bucks have the next best connection to 56 because in the most simple cipher, Bucks is 56. And pay attention to how many games in the Bucks playoffs have had 56 points at halftime. It happened again last night. Bucks were up 65-56 at halftime. I think 2 games ago it was 56-56 at halftime. Same stuff throughout the whole playoffs. Same stuff night after night. Again, if you followed me with sports, the numbers that we call out for the games hit every single game. Sometimes the outcome will flip, but they'll still pay tribute to the exact number that we said the game was going to be all about. And it's just like last night. We said the Rockies will sweep the Pirates and get their 35th win over the Cardinals. What was funny about going into yesterday's game is the Rockies pitcher had a chance at his 35th career win all time, which is another great sign. You'll see so often in baseball, if a pitcher has the riddle to pick up the win or the loss, even if he doesn't, the team does. So yesterday, the Rockies got their 35th win. The pitcher could have picked up his 35th career win, and number 35 hit the walk-off home run, his first name, Elias, is 46 and 35, like Catholic and Thursday and Rockies. And again, we've made so much money off the Rockies. This past week, we made a ton of money off the Orioles. We had the Orioles beating the Astros all 3 games in games where they paid 3-1. Had you bet $100 each night, you would have made $900 off the Orioles from following us on Patreon. Who saw the Orioles, sweeping the Astros? Gematria community did. Every night they were a major dog, and they won every night. But again, right now the hottest number in sports is 56. It has been in the entire time of the pandemic, and, coronavirus is 56. Remember, the coronavirus pandemic was put on by the Jesuits, and it was called Event 201. The Jesuit Orders 201. Yesterday in Cincinnati, where one of the nation's Jesuit universities is, Xavier, the Cincinnati pitcher was pitching 201 days after his birthday. Cincinnati won, and they dropped the Padres to 19-19 away. Reds is 19. 201 in the Jesuit town. Again, Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation, coronavirus 56. Everything's been 56 rituals in sports in the time of the pandemic. That's why we've been riding this number and dominating it. We liked Matsuyama to win the Masters this year, born on the 56th day of the year with a huge ritual, winning the green jacket exactly 45 days after his birthday. Green jacket 45 in the most pure cipher. Augusta 45. Again, just the same patterns all over. So the reason, again, LeBron and the Lakers had a perfect riddle to be there, and LeBron to get to 5 and 6 and mirror exactly what Brady did with everything that we talked about. But it might have really been scripted for the Suns originally because, again, it's Agenda 21 right now, which is another big Jesuit agenda. That's about climate change and the earth getting too hot, so we need all these drastic changes. So just think about it. The West is on fire. The Suns are in the finals. Arizona's burning up with the wildfires. All of this stuff is by design. They set the wildfires on purpose. They manipulate the weather. They make it crazy. And then they always have the sports being so symbolic with what's going on with the news. And, this Economist cover from January 9th, 1988. If the finals ends up being Suns and Bucks, they really could be. The Economist is a Jesuit-controlled magazine, like the New York Times is a Jesuit-controlled paper. There's 2 ways to look at this, and I don't know why my internet is so slow, but there it is. This Economist cover from January 9th, 1988. Get ready for a world currency. We talked about this at the beginning of the year, and when we talked about this January 2nd, we predicted exactly what the price of Bitcoin would be on Valentine's Day, which was a huge gain. Again, the power of Gematria. We can nail the stock market, helping people make money off the cannabis stocks this year. Nail Bitcoin. And like I said, once it hit that point after Valentine's Day, I said, again, this is a Jesuit-controlled thing. They could bring it back down. If you cashed out then, you made a nice payment, and, But understand, the Jesuits control it all, from Bitcoin to the NBA to the NFL to the MLB to the Oval Office to your nightly news. The Jesuits control all of this. They are the New World Order. But this cover from 33 years ago with the Phoenix, and notice it has the Catholic fleur-de-lis on the head, mockery, but coming out of the burning Bucks. If it's Phoenix and Bucks, this could be what they're telling us is the money collapse is next. NBA Finals is 33 in the most pure cipher. It's 33 years ago. When you write out The Economist, it's 56 in the most pure cipher. Like Phoenix Suns and like Bucks, right? And it's the Society of Jesus behind all this, the Jesuits. Society of Jesus. So, again, this is how they operate, you guys. 33 years ago, NBA Finals. This could be what they're communicating, but at the same time, you could make another argument. Right now, you have the Hawks that are a bird, right? You have Phoenix in the finals and the Hawks and the Bucks still playing. So the triangular relationship between the 3 teams remaining in the NBA all fit into this cover. The Phoenix is a bird that rises from the ashes, in this case, the burning money ashes. So if you had Phoenix and Hawks, you'd have the two teams from the 33rd parallel. You'd have a bird, right? Or if you have Phoenix versus the Bucks, you got Phoenix over the burning money, right? So it's tricky, and you got 56-year-old Nate McMillan, who could face Monty Williams, who used to coach together in Oregon with the Blazers in the 33rd state. That's possible. But, this whole thing with the Hawks is just such a joke. I mean, they're a totally garbage basketball team. They'd never make the playoffs if the NBA was real. They would have got wasted by the 76ers. Every game probably would have been 100 points to 40 points if it was real. And I'm not joking either. I mean, Philadelphia would beat Atlanta 100 to 40 probably every single game if the NBA was real. They are massive compared to that little Atlanta team. Joel Embiid could have beat Wilt Chamberlain's record every game, and Joel Embiid could have gone for 100 points every game if it was real against the little Atlanta Hawks. But anyway, I don't know who's going to make it in the East. You know, I'd like to see the Bucks because they were our backup team, but the Hawks thing and just how screwy and goofy it's been, I could see the symbolism either way, but understand this is what's going on. Sports and news are always synced together, you know? Again, just to make a point, you got this article about me, you know, in October of the year of Super Bowl 50, we said why washed-up Peyton Manning would beat Cam Newton in his prime in the Super Bowl and why Von Miller would be the MVP. Boom and boom, correct and correct. We also said why there'd be a tribute to Super Bowl 24 in that game. The Broncos won with 24 points. We said why the halftime performance, there'd be a big Black Panther tribute. Beyonce got criticized as dressing up as a Black Panther. We called all that in October because we saw all the Black Lives Matter and shooting stuff, the White Bronco, the Black Panthers, Cam Newton, the Super Bowl in the Bay Area where the Black Panthers were founded. Again, understanding how sports and news are scripted, we called it dead on. That's why had I come into this season and I not been thinking about what I'd already said about LeBron and the three-peat, understanding what I was focused on with all the Agenda 21, 2030, climate change, predicting that the weather was going to be extra crazy this year, because I did say that before the year began. Same time I was putting out the NBA thing. In hindsight, I'm like, man, had I just focused on the immediate thing, maybe I would have went with the Suns over the Lakers. Those were the two teams I had in the Western Conference Finals. But it was, the LeBron three-peat made so much sense. But still, the Suns being here makes a lot of sense. And for all the haters, again, hate all you want, but did you have LA, Phoenix, Western Conference Finals? Because I did before the season began. Did you have that? You know, did you say it would be the Bucks if it wasn't the Nets? I mean, I did. 2 years in a row, I was on the Bucks. I think they swept. I honestly think that they flipped the script last year with the Miami thing. I really do. I really, really do. I think it was supposed to be Bucks and Lakers last year. Abdul-Jabbar equals 74. It was the 74th NBA season. That Miami had the weaker 56 connections. That's why I got that they put them in there. But I don't know, man. Sometimes I think they're shifting shit around. We got people making too much money off futures. But anyway, 56 date numerology, the finals begin. Chris Paul, born on 5/6, is going to be in his first finals. Knows he's born in 85. Basketball, Phoenix, Arizona. Finally makes it with the Suns. He's been all over the NBA. But notice he makes it at the age of 36, you guys. Big number here. The Jesuits, whose logo's the sun, their acronym is IHS, which is 36. Jesus Christ is 151, which is the 36 prime, the Son of God. When you use Sumerian gematria, a basketball game is 666. That's the 36th triangular number. If you read out the NBA Finals, it's also 666. All the years I've documented all the 666 rituals with LeBron in the finals. The most clear was the year they said he was the first player to go to 6 straight finals since 66. But now they're doing it with Chris Paul, his buddy, who's now playing the character Uncle Cliff after Uncle Cliff dies in the NBA in a huge ritual last year. Remember, Uncle Cliff dead at 53, Cliff Robinson, the day the Blazers and Lakers played their 53rd all-time playoff game, and the Lakers closed out the Blazers on the way to winning the championship, picking up their 17th title in LeBron's 17th season when NBA's 17. But look at this. Here's what I want to remind you about with Chris Paul. I've been talking about this the whole time I've been here. Chris Paul, the day he signed with Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, basketball weirdo land there in North Carolina where that university is. That's where that piece of shit Stephen A. Smith comes out of, and a lot of sports journalists come out of that town. There's something going on in Winston-Salem. Witches. Look into the history of the Salem witch trials. It's all Catholics. But Winston-Salem is a weird, weird town. A lot of sports journalists come out of there. It's the home of the Demon Deacons. But the day that Chris Paul signed with Wake Forest, his grandfather was murdered at age 61 that day. And they said it was just a coincidence. It was just a coincidence that his grandfather was killed at age 61. And then that night he had a game and he scored 61 points. And if you've seen the highlight of that, he purposely misses the last free throw and walks off the court in tribute to his grandfather because they blew out the other team. But again, what they do is they get young, talented people who can fulfill their scripts, who are down for the cause. I wouldn't be surprised if the day that Chris Paul signed with Wake Forest, he agreed, that, you're going to be a big star in college, you're going to be a big star in the NBA. Are you willing to give up your grandfather's life? Because again, these are the kind of people that the demons who rule these leagues need. They need losers. They need sellouts to humanity. They need people that are totally ego-driven, who have no ethics. Because that's what these people are. They're scumbags. Like, I live up here in Washington State. I have to see Russell Wilson, his face on TV, always, pitching these messages about, why young people should, just trying to be this positive influence. The guy is a scumbag piece of shit. A guy that doesn't really give a fuck about anyone, who just likes his fame and his big contract and everybody wearing their back on their back, or wearing his name on their back in Seattle. I mean, you go to Seattle on Sunday, everybody's in a Russell Wilson jersey, and you just think, what a bunch of fucking losers. Why would you wear that chump's jersey? The guy that lost the Super Bowl for you and the most obvious rigged outcome of all time? You know what I mean? But again, you guys, for years, from this article right here, written about me, and I love how when they write these articles, they try to make it look like I'm pretending to be somebody else. If that's even his real name, Zachary K. Hubbard. Yeah, that's my real name, you fucking loser. Do some real research, asshole. But anyway, this article from USA Today's big lead to Vice News, making fun of me for calling the World Series dead on in August, Astros over Dodgers, and how it all be synced up with the flooding of Harvey after Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the flooding of Harvey. And notice what he's making fun of. All the 52 stuff that I wrote about for that World Series and why the Astros would beat the Dodgers and what that number has to do with hurricanes and flooding. And think about this. This article is written in 2017. From the date this article is written up to now, how many days have we circled with 52 numerology and documented the flooding, the hurricanes, the typhoons? How many? I mean, there's been so many, you guys. We just said circle July 4th for probably the first big 52 hurricane news of the year. A hurricane's going to hit Jamaica and Cuba on July 4th, the 52 date numerology. Here. Okay, in case you're not up on the other news going on today. Jamaica and Cuba about to get smacked by Hurricane Elsa, and it's going to make landfall on July 4th, the 52 date. Not to mention in Hebrew, hurricane equals 74, and the qualifying wind speeds for a hurricane are 74 miles per hour. Even in CNN's article, they mention how the wind speed's 74 miles per hour today, and it's going to hit on 7.4. Again, you guys, this is weather warfare. This is how they can flood Houston by the numbers and sync up a World Series and have Matt Harvey be the first pitcher to pitch. And by the way, you guys, in the time I've been here, I've called 2 World Series based off Matt Harvey. I called the Mets in the 111th World Series before the season even began because New York's won 11 and it was all synced up with Matt Harvey, who was the biggest star pitcher in baseball at the time. And then they had this World Series synced up with Matt Harvey. But again, just same stuff. We just had June 25th circled for weather warfare. Detroit flooded on the 52 date. Floods 52 forwards, 83 in reverse. Detroit's on the 83rd meridian. Detroit, Michigan's 83. Detroit Tigers 83. They like that number in that city. But again, just same patterns month after month. Already this year, we've had March 8th circled, March 28th, April 7th, April 27th, May 6th, May 26th. Every single one of these days, June 5th, June 25th, all of these days, there's been flooding and big storms in parts of the world smashing places on the 52 date. Unprecedented flooding in places. Unprecedented rainfall. So, again, people can say, well, places flood, every day on Earth. Okay, some places barely flood, but again, we're talking about stories with like unprecedented rainfall. Unprecedented flooding again and again and again. The first hurricane of the year. Year after year doing the same thing. Last year, before any of it happened, I put out, 10 dates to look out for hurricanes to hit? On 9 out of the 10, a hurricane hit, and the one day it didn't, a hurricane formed in the ocean. Again, from sports to weather, It is all scripted. It is the Jesuits in control of all of it. For all of you idiots who watch these videos and leave comments like, take some meds. I mean, what kind of fucking loser says that? Again, that's the answer right there. A fucking loser says, take your meds. That's a fucking loser's program response. Take your meds. Nah, sorry-ass motherfucker. Shut up and put some duct tape over your fucking mouth. And better yet, cut out your fucking tongue so nobody needs to hear your dumbass voice again. And while you're at it, chop off your hands so you can't write any stupid-ass messages online. No one needs to hear from a worthless, sorry-ass motherfucker who doesn't mean shit, who doesn't know a fucking thing about anything. And all they can do is regurgitate programmed-ass bullshit lines. Take your meds. First of all, sorry-ass motherfucker, I never taken any meds in my life. Probably why I see more clearly than 99.9% of humanity. You know? That's the first thing. And second of all, instead of me take my meds, you shut the fuck up, read my books, and watch my videos, and then try and prove me wrong. You can't, sorry-ass motherfucker. In my first book, I got a chapter on why weather warfare was admitted to in 52 and why they do this shit every fucking year. So understand how rigged the sports are, how rigged the news is, how they have the weather, all of it, all synced up. How many times have you seen it? Katrina, by the way, another 52 hurricane story. Katrina's also 74. You see how Katrina's got the 74 and the 52? In Hebrew, hurricane equals 74. The qualifying wind speeds for a hurricane are 74 miles per hour. In English, hurricane's 52. But remember, Katrina, for 10 days, the news told us that storm was going to hit New Orleans. They knew the path so certainly almost a week and a half out. Kept showing it over and over. How bad it could be. The city below sea level. And then remember what happened? New Orleans flooded, and what was the federal government's response? Oh, we weren't ready. We didn't know that was going to happen. It's like, what the fuck? So you mean to tell me the whole nation knew because that's all the media talked about for 10 days, but somehow the federal government that we pay millions of dollars to, billions and trillions of dollars to in taxes that has things like FEMA, they weren't ready? What, they didn't watch CNN the last 10 days? Again, you guys, it's because it's all a mockery. All of this is a mockery. It's a mockery of everything. And again, any man who owns a sports jersey and wears another man's name on your back, just think, what are you doing? Why are you wearing another man's name on your back? Do you want to be that man? Do you wish you were that man? Are you not happy to be who you are? That's what they do to you, right? They make you feel like you're insignificant, like you should live vicariously through other people, through celebrities. That's what the whole nation is, right? A bunch of dummies. Just always into entertainment. They know more about what celebrities are doing than their own life. This is the nation we live in, right? It's the world we live in. Bunch of sorry-ass motherfuckers. And sorry, that's the way it is. These are qualities of sorry-ass fucking people. People that don't think they have any power, any influence. All they care about is entertainment. They hate knowledge. Again, this is humanity. 90% of this country hates knowledge. They hate truth, but they love entertainment. They got an endless appetite for entertainment. You know, they just can't get enough of watching rigged sports games. You know? So again, you guys, you want to know what's going on? Sign up for the Patreon. You know, be part of the daily sports live streams. Become a part of the community. See all these unlisted videos? These are all the videos you don't see. All these unlisted videos. Days and days of winnings, what we got right here in all these unlisted videos. Just dominating. Just cooked baseball for a week straight. Just dominate. Huge upset. I haven't been able to do it with the NBA playoffs this year. The NBA playoffs have kicked my ass a lot. But, yeah, the NBA's figured out how to script their shit and double code it real good. But baseball hasn't. Baseball hasn't figured it out yet. No, they have not. Just be careful on, we had a good Saturday last week, but there's something wrong on Saturdays with this knowledge. If you're a rookie with this knowledge, Saturday is not the day to play. The weekends overall are always worse than the week. I think it's because there's so much money on the weekends that they have to flip outcomes and, you know, reverse things in series. That's my theory with the weekend. The weekends are always our worst days, but our worst days are still better than most gamblers' days ever are. And again, total torch job of the MLB, you guys. Total torch job of the world of sports. Total torch job of the world of politics and news. Been doing it for years. You learn gematria. You see through all of it. You see what a bunch of sick fucks these are. And by the way, I mean, just Chris Paul, Mr. 56, out with coronavirus to start the tournament. By the way, we just called the John Rahm tournament win dead on the nose in the latest 56 sports coronavirus ritual. But, CP3, Mr. 56 on the 56 team in the 56th season with the 5-6 birthday, he's out with the coronavirus protocol. All of this is a load of shit, you guys. It's all a load of shit. It's all scripted bullshit. And I mean, just how dumb do you got to be to watch the modern NBA? Kawhi Leonard just sat out the entire Western Conference Finals. Do we remember what Kawhi Leonard did in his last game that he played on the court? Had one of the greatest dunks in NBA history. You got to be real fucking healthy to jump that high and dunk that hard all over that big of a man. He did that to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, who the coronavirus was blamed on. Remember last year? Last year in the NBA bubble, we had to be in the NBA bubble. The NBA has figured out you're real safe if when you go to the sidelines, you just put a mask on. You can run around on the court with it off, but then when you go to the sidelines, just put your mask on and you'll be real safe in the NBA bubble. But NBA bubble, another 56. Let's not forget that they shut down the NBA season last year on the 142nd day of the season, and then they resumed it 142 days later. But again, the Utah Jazz became 5-6 in the NBA bubble exactly 56 days after Rudy Gobert's birthday. Again, just, man, all this stuff, man. Just superstar players being sat out for no reason. Bullshit coronavirus. All this is bullshit. Every last detail of it. And where's it all come from? From the greatest bullshitters of all time. The religious ones. And you just realize how it is again. I understand humanity. Humanity is mostly followers because we're meant to live in tribes. In a tribe, there's a leader, and the rest of the tribe is followers. And that's what's wrong in this world. Most people are born to be followers. They're born to be suckers. They're born to be chumps. They're born to be taken advantage of. They're born to be led. And that's why in a tribe, the tribe leader knows that his people are a bunch of dumb suckers, but they're his tribe, so he cares about them, so he puts the dumb suckers on the right path. He looks out for his tribe. Now, in this world, our tribal leader, do you believe it's senile Joe? It never is. The presidents are nothing but puppets. But the people that lead this nation, they don't give a fuck about us. They don't care about us. They know we're a bunch of dumb suckers. And what they do is they say, we're going to lead these guys straight to hell, and along the way, we're going to make sure that they keep us in power and rich and in control. And that's the game. That's the game. Understanding what humanity is and understanding how to manipulate humanity. And apparently it's not hard at all. Just lie to them every day and say you're the authority. They'll believe anything as long as you're seen as the leader. But, yeah, man, I just, so sick of living in a world of such pathetic people, such ungrateful people, such vile pieces of shit, the type of people that sit on my Patreon and troll all day, the paid-for agents that all need a bullet in the head, and they truly do. They truly do, you guys. We need a revolution. We need to overthrow all this shit. Scumbags need to go. There's way too many of them. The rig sports leagues. Honestly, man, I mean, where's the IRA when you need it? These stadiums need to go. The people in these stadiums need to go. Who the fuck is still spending money on the NBA and wearing jerseys and giving money to these leagues, as many players as they sacrifice, as many games as they're rigged, as pathetic as these leagues are? We need to get rid of the dummies. We need to get rid of the bullshit, you guys. Revolution or bust. The sports gotta go. The news gotta go. The politics gotta go. It's all gotta go. The shitty people gotta go. You want to get rid of the shittiest people? Go to a sports game. There's the shittiest people in society, the ones at the sports game. Fucking losers, brain dead morons. And again, just the way they love to shit on home crowds. It's what I pointed out. I said, watch, the Suns can lose game 5, and then the Clippers can lose in game 6, and then they can shit on 2 home crowds. And that's what they do. They just love to shit on home crowds. They love just looking at these sorry-ass motherfuckers saying, thanks for your money. Now go home and cry on your pillow, you fucking loser. We know you'll be back next year. Same people who, open up the doors on Sunday and say, come worship our bullshit religion with our bullshit story that's based in 0% truth, where we mock you every inch of the way. Son of God, son of man, Sunday. Sunday. You should have seen it earlier this year when the Suns became 9-3 on Sundays for the season. First time in the finals since 93. The sun is supposedly 93 million miles away. You know when that was agreed to, you guys? 93 million miles away? In the 16th century, when heliocentrism was the agreed to model. Notice heliocentrism's 201, like the Jesuit order, right? The Jesuit order. You know what the renovation for the Phoenix Suns Stadium was this year? It was called Project 201. Project 201. And that is why the Suns closed out the Nuggets on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. So, Giannis, the day the Bucks destroyed Atlanta, they were up like 40-some points. That was 201 days after Giannis' birthday. Remember, Milwaukee has Marquette University, one of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities. But, yeah, don't ask me who's going to win that Bucks-Hawks series. I could make an argument either way. I'd rather see the Bucks at this point, just because we had them as the backup team before the season began. But 56-year-old Nate McMillan got a chance to sneak in there. We'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what, if it ends up being Suns and Hawks, well, I'll save it for later. It'll probably be the battle of the 56s, though. We'll see. We'll see. The NBA, man, making my hair turn gray overall this year, but still, at the end of the day, you can still see how rigged it all is and who controls the script. And even if you've been following us in the NBA, even where we've missed on games, the numbers we've called out have just been all over every single game. It's easy to see the number for the ritual, but the way they double code it, sometimes it's hard to see who the winner is. So, yeah, that's how it is, you guys. And again, I'll tell you what's a lot easier to call is baseball. Again, the Rockies sweeping the Pirates and becoming 34-47 for the season, which they did. Rockies became 34-47 by sweeping the Pirates and then picking up their 35th win on a Thursday over the Catholic Cardinals. That is just what you call free money. And 4 straight wins. And realize it's not just those games. I mean, we've been murdering the whole league, you know. Give us a game. We've killed it. So, baseball is super hot. And again, for all of you guys who left at the end of May because you weren't happy with how I was doing in the NBA, huge rookie mistake because you missed out on a lot of money in June. You should see my cell phone and just all the happy customers and, man, just small bets turning into big money, man. And again, I'm not trying to make this about money, but all of us got bills to pay and groceries and, you know, all these expenses. If you're risking $20 a night and making a couple hundred, man, not a bad way to be. Not a bad way to be. You can do it with this knowledge because you can get behind so many games. They got rock-solid riddles. So we'll leave it there, you guys. I'll be on the Patreon in a little bit. For those of you guys who are on Patreon, the notes are up for today if you want to check those out. I will be presenting later, but got to run a couple errands. The first game today is at 6 o'clock Eastern, so we got time to stream before then. But I'll be on Patreon. I estimate an hour, 2 hours at the most. We'll do the live stream for the day. If you guys aren't signed up for the Patreon, come to my website, GematriaEffectNews. The Patreon link's up there, or patreon.com/Zachary K. Hubbard, which is my real name. But, yeah. Or don't, or just, you know, miss out on the knowledge of a lifetime and the opportunities of a lifetime and, you know, the Orioles upsetting the Astros 3 days in a row. You know, these aren't things you want to miss out on, but hey, people who make bad decisions miss out on them every day. So we'll leave it right there, you guys. And just remember, ignore the trolls. The reason there's a paid-for pack of trolls that harass me 24/7, 365, and have been for about 6 years is because for 6 years we've been destroying multi-billion-dollar industries, which are the world of sports. You know, I would love to see how much money's been paid to people to troll me for 6 years straight. I guarantee you it's a huge sum of money. Again, ignore the trolls. They're fucking losers. They're the scum of the earth. They're swine. And all they're trying to do is mislead people. Just like every day, the people who control your mainstream are trying to mislead you. They're lying to you every day. And you look at the masses, the dummies. They believe the liars. They're so entrusted to the liars. They just believe every last lie. Believe. You know, one of the most obvious words in the language is the word with lie right in the middle. And again, you look at English and what a nonsensical language it is. Spells, spelling, magic. Just look at a word like believe. If you didn't know how to English, if you were just learning English and I said spell believe, imagine the way a little child would spell believe. You know, if he just learned to spell, he'd probably spell it B-E-L-E-V-E, maybe B-E-L-E-A-V-E. If he had not seen the word believe before and you just asked him to spell how it probably is spelled, it would be very unlikely that he would spell it B-E-L-I-E-V-E. Because why? What other word is like that? Lie. That's what they got us doing. Being liars, being the lie, living the lie. It's just so obvious. And again, the same people who taught you to believe in bullshit, which are the religious authorities like the Catholic Church, they're the same ones that are teaching you to believe in all sorts of other obvious bullshit. Religion is obvious bullshit. Sports are obvious bullshit. Politics is obvious bullshit. News is obvious bullshit. Only fucking losers can't see this. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. Only fucking losers cannot see that what I just said is true. And there's a lot of fucking losers in this world. So, tell you what, I'll tell you who else are some losers. The same people who left my Patreon in May because we weren't doing that well in basketball. I should have got into baseball sooner. I was trying to make sure we were on track with the basketball. I know it wasn't the best basketball, but again, you don't leave the Gematria community unless you're a loser. Period. All right. We'll leave it there, you guys. Until next time.